Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cheerleaders, welcome to an episode of Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my partner, Anthony. This is a judo podcast for judo players by two judo players. So, Anthony, how you doing?
Tired. I don't know how kids have so much energy because I just came back from the inter-dojo scrimmage for the kids we had with Sawtelle Judo.
Yeah.
Man, the kids I thought the tournament would wipe them out, but they even had more energy to play in our dojo area right afterwards. It was
you guys
really,
did you told me you guys did Kohaku version this time.
Yeah, we lined them up because we didn't have exactly the right amount of people to make brackets, so we just like lined it up by size and age and mostly by size, not so much by age. And then we went lightest to heaviest, 2 pairs at a time. So Hikiwake was tie, so then both people would be out. We had a couple extra matches at the end because we were waiting for the pizza to come, and then we did golden score for one of them because it was like it's not Kohaku technically at the end. So yeah, it was fun. It was more fun than the last time. I don't know. I think I just like saw more better. I just saw better judo today. There wasn't like a lot of high impact throws, like last time, but that I watched because I wasn't here for the last two. But there was just better judo demonstrated, I guess.
Well, this time you actually had a lot of your own beginner class students.
No, it was only three. It was only three.
Well, that's more than last time. Last time you had like what, 1 or 0? I don't remember.
Zero.
Zero last. Okay, so I didn't even trying to get. So how did your students do? Did they do to your Did they exceed your expectation?
They totally did exceed my expectations. I think it was 0 before because we used to split them up by age group, right? Sorry, by experience. But now we kind of split them up by age group. So when they were splitting up by experience, every time that I trained a kid that was old enough or good enough, or when I say good enough, I mean like safe enough to compete, they would go to Eric's class and become his student, right? So that's why it never happened. But now that we're splitting it by age group, I had 3 students that they're 5 and 6 and 7. I think they're 6 and 7, mostly 6 and 7. So they were able to compete now because they were training longer under me because they're younger and they're not ready for Eric's class yet. But they perform really well. They mostly fought each other because they're small. They're only ones they're that age. And then there was one match where one of them fought a bigger kid because he won. But the jump was pretty huge. You know, it went from like 40 something to low 50, mid 40 to 50 pounds. All of a sudden it went to like 60. Like I think the other kid was 10 pounds heavier than them. So it might not sound a lot to us adults. But I think for a kid, 10 pounds is a lot, you know? Yeah. So he fought the other kid, obviously lost, but he did better than I thought. So I was looking at for whether the kids were doing and trying things that we played in class, like all the task-based constraint games that we play. And I definitely see a lot of that stuff going, like the moving their hips in front of the other person, getting the correct grips, moving the person and doing combinations. Like I saw a lot of that. So I was definitely happy with that because that's what I'm looking for. They can't finish a throw just because they weren't strong enough. They're smaller. Then there's nothing I can do about that. But eventually the strength and size and stuff will come.
All right, cool. So let's then go into so that was kind of local thing. You know, we do this cross club scrimmage with Sawtelle with our kids twice a year. We try to do it with the adults. We do the cross club scrimmage with Sawtelle and Goltz. We try to do that twice a year as well. We videotape the adult one, and we put it on our YouTube channel, but it'll be moving from our YouTube channel to the Hollywood Judo YouTube channel because Anthony doesn't want to put it on our channel no more.
Well, what I've been doing is moving the lower quality live stream recording with a scoreboard on the Tatami Talk version. And then like the high quality, last time it was 1080p, 30 FPS onto the Hollywood Judo channel. So the high quality one's on Hollywood Judo channel, but doesn't have the scoreboard because it's a camera recording. This time for the kids tournament, I tested out another camera that's 4K 60 FPS. So I'm gonna see how that turns out. I was using it. It's not gonna be uploaded, but I'm gonna use that footage to test out whether I should use swap cameras next time for the other thing. So that was fun.
Should we put it behind a paywall, maybe? No, we're not. Yeah. Hey, they're one pay. You want to see your kid live?
We're gonna be like Flo. We're gonna be like Flow. What was it called? There's not Flow Wrestling. What the hell do they call it?
Flow grappling.
Flow grappling. Yeah, we'll be like flow grappling.
Put everything behind paywalls.
Yeah, and then anytime the parents upload their own kids' stuff onto social media, we copyright strike them.
Yeah, we strike them. We're not doing that. We're not like that, okay? And if you do, hey, more power to you. You got the business sense, all right?
Hey, so I'm adding this into the podcast, probably going to be on the intro because I forgot to mention it, and there were some corrections I needed to make. I talked about the Olympic gold medalist. I said Nagayama, but I actually meant Nagase. So I'm actually talking about Nagase when I mentioned the Olympics later in this episode. Also, I've been meaning to give a shout out that someone asked for after episode 101. Gerard, our longtime listener, I think he's been listening since the beginning, provided a lot of helpful insight for me because he lives in Europe and Northern Ireland. So he gives us like a different point of view across the pond of what judo and certain politics or judo structures like over there. But thanks, Gerard, for listening. And Gerard wanted to give a shout out to his club mates. Hopefully I don't butcher the name. I'm trying real hard here. But Paul McConneville, who was recently awarded his 6th Dan. That's a huge milestone. Congratulations. Thank you for your contribution to judo. Since I assume 6th Dan, you've done a lot for the local judo community. And also, again, I'm trying to read this properly. David Jurkowicz, who had won silver for the 90 kilogram division at the World Veterans. Oh, I didn't know that was like last year then. Wow. Because I know the one happening soon is going to be in Las Vegas, but yeah, that's really cool. All right. Sorry again for not forgetting to include this in the previous episode, and as I'm editing this in, I realize I forgot again, and it's always because Juan gets me off track and I have to record it afterwards. But Juan's on vacation now, so I'm recording this myself. Again, congratulations and thank you for the support.
So let's talk about some judo news. So as some of you may or may not know, we're under 100 days to the Paris Olympics. How many days are we at? We at
89 as of recording, I think.
As of recording is 89 days. So add 7 to that after recording. But we're under 100 days.
All right? 5. So, add 5, not subtract 5.
5. Yeah. Subtract 5. Subtract 5, whatever. Yeah. I'm not great at math, all right? So are you excited about the summer games coming up? Is there anybody you're looking forward to watching?
How do I put this? I'm always
he hates competition. He hates refs.
No. I hate refs. Yeah, I definitely do. But I'm always excited for the Olympics, but I always walk away disappointed. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like
I get it.
For example, the last Olympics, COVID aside, getting a push back 1 year.
Yeah.
I got a lot of shit for this, but for example, Nagayama, I'm so glad he's one of my favorite judokas. But I didn't like how he won. Like I thought the refs like let him get away with a lot of stuff, you know?
What? So, in Japan? Yeah. No, you must be kidding me.
Yeah, and people talk about home advantage, and there's definitely a home advantage of like not having the time zone change, and then you're used to the home crowd and the language and food and everything. But no one ever talks about the home advantage. That it's like I can't prove the refs are giving them favorable calls, but
well, if we can tap into that audio
over
system,
the last
yeah, tapping those mics
over the last 3 or 4 Olympics, you clearly see the calls have a trend. I'll just leave it at that. The calls have a trend, and so there was that. 2, I don't like the fact that there is no, maybe it will change now because of Judo TV, but the Olympics owns the footage of the content. So that's why when you look back at tournaments now, you can see, even if you pay for Judo TV, you can watch the World Championships, you can watch Paris Grand Slam, but you can't watch the Rio Olympics. You can't watch the last Tokyo Olympic Games. You can't watch the matches, what happened. Except for a few like YouTube channels where someone recorded the live footage and it's like super grainy because it's been re-uploaded like 50 times on Instagram or something like that. Yeah. So except for those, you can't really find the full original coverage. You can't watch it legitimately. So that's another thing that I get annoyed by. So that means I have to watch it live, but then I can't watch every single match live. I get tired. And that means...
Here's a BS thing, like us being in America and the last Olympics, they tried to put everything on what's NBC's Peacock. They put everything on Peacock, or they said they're going to put everything on Peacock, but it seemed like all the martial arts except for boxing were put on their website instead. So there was a lot of people that bought Peacock. They're expecting to get wrestling and kickboxing, wrestling and judo and the taekwondo stuff, get all that. But no, that stuff wasn't on Peacock. That stuff was on the website instead. The sports so Peacock Sports or whatnot.
So that was my next complaint. Because the last Olympics, everyone knows, everyone in the dojo knows I don't watch TV. I don't have not just because I'm a cord cutter. I literally don't own any sort of streaming cable TV service. Like, I don't have access to Comedy Central, for example. I don't watch TV at all. So the last Olympics, Peacock put out an advertisement saying, "Oh, you can watch Olympics by subscribing to the Peacock app." Right? I took a screenshot of it randomly because we were talking about it for the podcast. If I remember correctly. Yeah. So I took a screenshot of that advertising it, and then literally after I paid for the app for the month to watch the Olympics, the week before, they removed that from the app, the judo part, just judo. Everything else stayed the same. It was just judo. They said, no, the judo's not going to be in the Peacock app. You can watch it on our website, though, like you said. Yeah. But to watch it on the website, you need to enter your cable subscription. So you need to have like Time Warner, a Spectrum, or whatever. I don't know what the cable companies are now. They keep changing their names and stuff. But you need to have a cable subscription to log in to watch it online. So I literally canceled and actually what do you call it? I didn't refund. I charged back my card basically because I asked support and they just like ignored me. So I was all right. I'm just going to charge back the $10, $15, whatever it was. It was the principle that matters, right? Oh yeah, yeah. It was false advertisement. So that was another reason I got disappointed. So how I ended up watching some of them was I VPN'd into one of those countries that broadcasted for free, and then I recorded those matches and I brought it to the dojo. I don't even remember.
I have no idea what he's talking about. Like, this is what he's saying. I have nothing to do here.
So yeah, it was annoying, and then I did all that work to watch the matches only for my favorite athletes to win in a way that I didn't want them to win. But winning is winning. There's some people just say winning is winning, but I'm not against people using strategy to win, if you know what I mean. But I don't like it when refs play favors, you know? So that's also the Olympics where that Russian girl got away with screaming and then some other Japanese girl got away with that hammerlock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like,
hey, I see nothing wrong with a hammerlock. All right. Hammerlock's fine to me.
No, because she was hammerlocking the girl. And we're repeating what we talked about in the Olympic episode. She was hammerlocking the girl, and the girl was screaming in pain and then called mate. So it was either an ippon or it's hansokumake, is one or the other, but nothing happened. It just restarted the game. Made absolutely no sense at all.
Which is in the rules of judo, rule of competition judo. If you scream in pain, no matter what it is, whatever, fall or thing,
it's a gray area.
To be equal. No, it's supposed to be. Hey, no. This is what they said at the coach's clinic. It is supposed to be equal for the person.
I don't care what the coach's clinics say because they're always like, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. But the rules itself, because the coach's clinic and also the stuff itself, they come out to give their current interpretation of the written rules, basically. So you have to look at the written rules, and the written rules leaves a gray area about verbal. There's no like there's no rule in the rule book that talks about verbal tapping. I looked at it. I tried to look it up. There's no rule in the rule book that says if you yell or scream or there is a verbal tap, like saying tap, 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 tap or whatever, but there's no rule about screaming. So what I think they use to interpret that rule is if the referee believes you are in danger, then they can award the score. So if you're screaming in pain, then they think you're in danger, then they can call you pawn. Like I think that's the rule. That's how they get by that gray area, I think. So yeah, but don't like it.
No.
So I'm trying.
So Anthony's super excited for the Olympics, as you can see, people. All right.
I'm trying to keep my expectations low because every single time I'm excited, I get super excited about Olympics, and then there's all these hurdles as an American I need to go through to watch it, and I have to stay up late at night, which was difficult for me because of my commute to the dojo and my work and everything. So
it's in Paris. So that's going to be at least 8 hours ahead of us. That ahead or behind us?
No, I don't know. It's not. I just know. I don't know how many hours. I just know it's going to be a pain in the butt because I tried to watch the European Championships and I couldn't.
Well, no, the worst thing's going to be is that since we're judo people, we follow that on our Instagrams, Twitters, and Facebooks. Also,
yeah, but then
we follow that. No, but
people want to watch highlights. I don't want to watch highlights.
We're going to wake up like, oh, I'll just watch the matches in the morning when I have breakfast or something. I'll watch the highlights. And then by the time we wake up, the first thing on my phone I look at is like, so-and-so won goal. God damn it. I didn't want to know that.
Yeah. So during the Olympics, I don't go on social media at all for that reason. I also stopped going to social media when sumo's happening because I get ruined all the time.
Yeah. So in other judo news, me and Anthony here, we're here in America. So here in America, we have the USA Nationals here in Los Angeles. Is Ontario really LA? No, it is Inland Empire, but I hate how they call it LA. There was a funny little thing. There used to be a anime festival my friend used to go to out there. It's called ALA. And I was like, no, this is anime Inland Empire, not anime LA.
It's pretty far from the fact that I live in LA and I'm considering if I compete, I'm going to rent a hotel room there for the night.
Well, we're going to be out there. We'll probably be out there Friday we'll be out there Saturday definitely and Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we'll have anyone out there on Monday because the way the thing is set up right now, it is Friday's kata, Friday's national kata, Saturday is seniors and visually impaired nationals for the adults. And then Sunday is Golden State Open for adults and teens, I believe. And then Monday is for the youths, pretty much all the younger ones on Monday for Golden State Open. So it's a full weekend. But let me go back to what I want to talk about. So here in America, our players don't get the best sponsorship. We've talked about that before. We have people interview on the show before talking about that. So this year, I didn't know this before. I've been doing judo for, like I said, like almost 16 years now. Anthony says they've done this before, but I've never really noticed it. And especially the one that the last nationals I went to didn't offer prize money. Okay. So at least for me, this is the first time since the pandemic, so about 5 years now, USA Nationals is offering prize money. Now, the way they worded this, Anthony was all quick to jump on this. I was more like, whatever, doesn't matter. But it is true that the way it's going is that you have a chance to win up to $1,500 sponsorship money. Well, $1,000 is sponsorship money. So for the seniors and the visually impaired, if you take first place in your division, okay, this is black belt division also. You take first place in your division, you get $500. Woo, $500 pays for your.
Just the sign up fee is going to be around 100, assuming you did an early registration. And then if you don't live in the area, then there's also the airplane, or gas, whatever, and hotel. Yes. So it doesn't even cover that.
Hold on, just let me go through all of it.
And that's first place.
Before you Debbie Downer all of this. So first place gets $500. All right. Second place gets a cool $250. All right. And third place gets $125. And that's $125. All right. Just $125. But if you get first place, you get up to $1,000 sponsorship money to help pay for your travel, your what they put down here, whatever, travel, hotel expenses, being part of the national team. I expect you probably get a spot there, or at least qualify for it. So if you win in seniors, either brown and black belt, non-visually impaired or visually impaired, you get up to $1,500. So Anthony, now go to your complainant.
I mean, it's obvious, right? I don't need. It's not that I'm against prize money. It's just you have to look at the opportunity cost. What was it? So is the whole tournament's up to $1,500, right?
The first place, each first place person, each weight class
place
is up to.
It's $500 for first place.
Yes,
and then so each weight class, right?
Yeah.
Each weight class for this is, we're not talking about the sponsorship money. We're just talking about
just the prize money, just a $500
just the prize money. So let's say there's let's not even include the kids. Let's just talk about the senior adult.
No, there's no kids. It's just a senior adults black belt. So
I didn't mean kids. I mean novice.
Okay.
Not include novice. So there's what Mac. You know, like the guy who's actually performed. Would you rather give that money to people that are performing who needs the money, or would you like throw it away and spread it out across different weight classes, which gets nothing in return? That's the way I see it.
You know how I feel about this. I think the U.S. should be sponsoring our players more anyways. Okay?
I'm not. We know that's not happening, but I'm just saying this pot of money that they got, and I know why they did it. Is probably because whoever donated it earmarked it for. Hopefully whoever donated it said it has to go towards this kind of stuff. If not, then it's just whoever decided to spend the money this way is just stupid. Sorry. But yeah, it should have went to the athletes, especially with Paris coming up. If they had that extra money to travel to an extra tournament, to go to another training camp, to get a physical therapist or sports massagist person to go with him to Paris, that's like more worth it than getting no one to sign up, like one or two people to sign up for the senior nationals. I think that's just the opportunity cost I think you're trading here. So not that everyone agrees the funding should be allocated that way, but I'm just saying that there's better ways of spending that money. So that's my opinion. I agree.
There's better ways to spend the money, but I do think that this is a positive going in the right direction as an incentive. This is done every year. Okay. To help promote judo.
Okay. Then like you said, it's only less than 100 days into the Olympics. So why don't you save this pot of money, put it in a high interest savings account and save it for next year?
You and your high interest savings account. Every goddamn time it's a high interest savings account with you. But like I said, if this continues as is a regular thing, I think this is a positive. Now, is it a lot of money? No. Okay. I think it's also kind of one of those things of like BJJ does this. BJJ pays their guys. BJJ gives awards, gives money out to their players.
It's more than that. I think the money that they.
Oh no, it's definitely no. We know the money's different. Okay. We know that. Okay. They're much more profitable.
People will actually sign up for that because it breaks that travel risk.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that I think there's also another part of it where someone maybe in the office or whoever earmarked this or donated was like, BJJ does this. They're doing well. Why aren't we doing this? It is really weird that if you tell someone from another country that, oh yeah, if you go to the USA Nationals and win, you get a shiny medal and maybe a belt. That championship belt that you get. You're like, you don't get prize money. It's like, nah, we don't get prize money. Like, what tournament in the US gives prize? I know the New York Open back in the day when I was like a white belt still, maybe a brown belt when it was still going on. They used to give out prize money back in the day. I can't remember how much it was. I know they did. And that was like one of the only tournaments I knew here in the US that did it. Not even the US Open in Florida they have every year. They don't even give out prize money.
This is why we talked about it in a previous episode, but the fact that it's now that I'm saying it's in LA, the fact that it's in LA,
now that it's in Inland Empire, Southern California,
it's basically, what do you call it? Giving an advantage to people in the Southern California area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whoever wins this, assuming like Jackie Onozuka doesn't come, or someone like that, then it's kind of like, not the best of the country. We talked about this before. So this is why I think we should have had like kind of what wrestling does, like a state champion, right? And then all the state champions go in a bracket and compete.
Yeah, you have to qualify for it.
You have to qualify for nationals.
Go inside.
Yeah, that makes so much more sense. And then whoever's the state champion gets the funding from whatever, the local Udanshikai or USA Judo or whatever to go travel to the nationals to compete. Right? that's much more effective use of the money. Like that pot of money I just talked about. Mm-hmm. You can send one person to a tournament for $1,500.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Instead of splitting that $1,500 3-way to first, second, third place. Like,
so what do you think of, okay, so first place 500, okay? We're not talking about the sponsorship money. That's not even a guarantee. That's an up to. Okay. Like we're talking about that. That's a guarantee right now when it really isn't. It's an up to.
Combine that first three places prize money and give that money to the state champion to go compete against other places. And for big places like California, you can even split that state champion to Northern Cal and Southern Cal or whatever. So, but.
Well, the whole thing is like, even if you take third place, that's a 125. Okay. Like you said, it's only paying for the registration. It's like, you get reimbursed from a registration. Nice. And you live in the area. Okay. You may live in the south and stuff, but you live in the area and you're talking about getting a hotel, which is going to cost you.
Exactly.
Which is going to cost you what, 60, 70 bucks if you find a cheap place, which I know you're not, because I know how you are. So you're going to stay at a place for like 110, 120.
For me, it's again about the trade-off. Okay. I have stayed at Motel 6 before where I had armed security guards outside when I went to President's Cup. I think it was President's Cup. Yeah, it was in Dallas. But if I get a nicer hotel for like $20 extra a night, then why not, without having to fear for my life or having to drive.
You are a second dan in judo. You should not be fearing for your life. All right.
I not a second dan in guns or whatever, dodging bullets.
You get that bullet and you give that bullet a Tai Toshi of its lifetime. Okay. You use your Wing Chun and you catch that bullet. All right. Isn't that what they taught you in Wing Chun? I thought.
Not catching bullets. No. But yeah, I always think I just don't agree with how they're spending the money, but that's. Yeah, I'll try not to complain because at least they're doing something, like you said.
Mm-hmm. To me, it's like, at least I know it's always like I'm the positive one, you're the downer and stuff, but we always talk about this and there's positives and bad things about it. But yes, are a lot more.
I'm not the downer. I listed the positives and I compared it to the negatives. And like, it just makes no sense. Like, I want to understand if anyone from USA Judo wants to like email me, like, I really want to know what is the the only positive thing I could think of that they would say where it would come out ahead is that they're playing the long-term game. Like, this is a long-term donation, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of like how our dojo gets like donations and luckily we don't have to use it up like at the end of the year, but some organizations gets grants that they have to spend by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So, and then it can only be used for certain things. Like, you can't buy a new TV for the dojo or something like that, or buy new mats. You can't do that. It can only be used for like certain things, mm-hmm. for running tournaments, for example. If it's like that, then I can see like, oh yeah, we have to use it by the end of the year for these certain things, and we might as well use it for prize money. But
well, that is a good shout out. If there is anybody from USA Judo that listens to our podcast, I'd like to come on and talk about the USA Nationals, how it's organized, what's going on, and what about the prize money. Please contact us. Tatami Talk, Instagram. You can holler at us on Instagram, tatamitalk@gmail.com. Look at Anthony. He would love to talk to you. Okay.
I hope no one gets offended by what I said, but I'm just like looking at what I know, what I see and what I know. But that even then, one, it's April, but I don't know when the fiscal year ends for USA Judo. But there's that. And then I think if it's earmarked for tournaments and stuff, there's other tournaments you can probably spend that money on, or spend it in the way that I explained earlier. But the way I explained earlier about the state flying state people out, that actually requires mm-hmm. work and restructuring of the tournaments, and then there's politics and stuff. So I understand a little bit of that, but.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that's our thoughts on USA Nationals. It's going to be here in beautiful, sunny Southern California, not LA proper, Inland Empire. So if you're going to go to it, we'll be there. Hey, if you want to say hi to us, say hi to us. I know everybody loves Anthony. People never say hi to me. They don't like me that much because I'm too scary.
I just think I go to more tournaments than you right now. That's why I think.
Yeah. Yeah, don't try to spare my feelings, Anthony. Okay, I know people don't like me. All right, and with that, some of the judo news. Other one little thing, because we were talking about the other day at the dojo. I'm just gonna bring it up because I put it up on our Instagram also. Really cool. This year, is it September, October, November? I can't remember which day it is exactly or what month it is exactly. But Viva Las Vegas, the IGF is having their senior masters, or you want to call that, championships this year in Las Vegas. And I have a couple of members of our dojo are thinking about going to it. So that's pretty cool.
I don't know if we have to qualify for it somehow, or you can. I don't see you being able to just sign up.
You have to ask Brian. Brian's the one that does all these tournaments. We should ask Brian what to do.
Yeah, I should probably ask Brian. But also the kata is going to be there. I asked Pamela yesterday in our kata class. So kata is going to be held with the veterans, and I was like, so what happens? This is something I was curious about. I'm like, Pamela, how does like senior kata, like, is there a senior kata and a veterans kata? And then she's like, no, there's not enough. There's just kata. But then she also said it's not fair to the older people, that some of these younger people do these amazing, like, high amplitude, beautiful kata demonstrations.
Yeah.
And so they actually divided up by like under a certain age and over a certain age, I think. But that kata tournament is not going to be part of the World Championships. It's going to be everything's going to be in Las Vegas, basically.
At the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
Okay.
So that was an interesting clarification that I never thought about until now. So,
well, that is interesting to think about that there would be like a senior kata and a master's kata. Like, if I was a master's, okay, I would try to pick like the easiest masters. Like I would do like Kimi no kata or something, something very easy as a master's, where I wouldn't do some big crazy kata.
I don't disrespect people like that.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying I'm not disrespectful. How's that disrespectful?
Why would you just say it's easier? I don't think.
No, I'm saying easier on the body. Easier on the body, not big. Big lifting. That means like nobody.
Okay. You gotta clarify what you said.
I don't mean it now. I'll give you hate mail now. Get all this heat now for. Oh, I feel it's so hot in here now.
You're gonna watch. When you're gonna fail your Kimi no kata test.
I already got that certificate. I'm good on that. All right.
I'm good.
Yeah. Do I have a certificare in it?
I don't think you had the Juno kata. I
had the Juno kata. Yeah. It's all right. I'm good. Don't worry. I'm all right. I'll grease the right palms.
Please don't say that.
Hey, come to my house. Give me your certificate. No, not my certificate, please.
But according to Pamela, she's saying there's more. I can't verify this, but she's saying there's more and more young people competing in kata, which is surprising. And I don't know why, if that's the case, because I'm really surprised that that's the case. But I'm glad if that's happening. I'd like to see more people do. I'm not going to say compete, because I don't think I personally don't like competition kata. I think it goes against everything. That's my opinion. But I like the fact that more people are doing kata. I think more people should do kata. So,
all right. So that's something to look out for, people. Like, come to LA for the USA Nationals, come to LA for Golden State Open, and then later in the year during fall, come back. Well, never come back to LA directly, but come back to West Coast for Las Vegas. You can gamble away all your money.
Does Las Vegas count as West Coast?
Yeah, it's right next to us. I don't see why not. Would you consider Midwest or South? It would be Southwest. It'd be definitely Southwest. That's what it'd be.
Yeah, true. You don't consider Arizona West Coast? It's right next to California too.
No, Arizona is another state over. You got Nevada, then you got Arizona.
Isn't it in the south?
No, it's Southwest. So no, it's California, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona. Is it?
I think it's Arizona and New Mexico.
Yeah, Arizona and New Mexico?
Yeah.
All right, whatever. I haven't traveled that way.
Whatever is next to California, I wouldn't consider that West Coast. So it's weird to consider Nevada also West Coast. Just saying.
Southwest, whatever. All right. Or Southeast? No, Southwest. No East. Southwest.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk about this a couple of episodes ago when Anthony got his promotion, because since we've talked about how Anthony's teaching and how we've how we develop our programs to help out the dojo.
Yeah, I'll introduce this part because I want to start with you, right? So the beginning, we were like most dojos in the beginning, right? We just had mixed classes, and I didn't track the metrics at the time, but I'm pretty sure our dropout rate, our attrition rate, our attrition rate was like close to 90%, right? 90% of people drop out, and that's normal, I guess. But now we're down to like around 55. I mentioned last time. And then we started having the beginners classes when we opened up from COVID lockdowns, and you and Eric both had your own beginners classes. And then as the dojo grew, you guys, your beginners classes turned into intermediate classes, and then I had my own beginners class. So I want to ask you, like, how did you teach that beginners class? And how did you come up with what your program was like for that? And when you started teaching intermediate, has any of that changed, or is it just the technique, or what has changed over the years other than the fact that it went from beginners to intermediate? Do you have any lessons learned to share to other people about the experience having your own class over the last, I guess, like 2 years now?
Nothing. I've been perfect, amazing. That's just all. Not.
I was going to make a joke that was might offend some people there, but
yeah. Okay. So with me, when I go in for my beginners class, it was more going like go super basic stuff that you and me both feel and talk about that people should learn to go to advanced. And my class has always been the same thing. It's always been, I need to get these people ready to go to Philippe's class. I need them to be up to date on what moves to know and learn that we go over our class a lot, like kind of Hollywood Judo specialty moves that Philippe expects us all to know and do, and also make them know that all the criteria you need to get your belt ranks. When I went from teaching beginners to intermediates should know what to do already. So it's a little bit like not going through like little baby steps of reteaching them how to fall each class or every other class, or going through it like every few weeks, is that they know how to fall. It's more about reinforcing how to fall properly, like really good falls, like not bend your knee. I expect everybody to pop up and stuff. When it comes to warm-ups, I want them to do warm-ups that we do in advanced class and stuff. And one thing about my class is that I've kind of like developed my own thing, is that my class starts off hard as a hard warm-up workout, and then I kind of ease down. So we do a lot of chikomis, a lot of arm drills, hand drills, grip drills and stuff, to warm up in class and get you that high intensity. But then after that, I start easing into it, like with doing newaza randori and stuff from special positions that you normally don't work on in Philippe's class. More like you start from dojime position, start from one person turtle, start one person because their favorite kasekatame, and you work from there. And then I try to teach. I teach moves that you're supposed to learn in our class that are part of all the criteria you're supposed to learn from that position. Okay. Like yesterday we did, what would you call that position? Also, it's kind of like a north-south where one person's in turtle, the other person's on top of them, and how to roll over from there. How to go into waki jajime. You know?
Waki, it wasn't north-south. I thought, it was north-south. It was a kata sankaku position from north-south.
Yeah.
It wasn't north-south because the guy wasn't exactly north-south because the guy was turtle.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not exactly that position, but
into wakikatame. Like,
you need to learn. So in our green belts, you need to learn wakikatame. Well, if I just teach you wakikatame from a flat position, you're not going to know how to get to there, or how I'm going to use this in judo. So I always try to work things from a certain position. Like, okay, this is where you're going to be at in judo to do this position. Okay. So if you're on the bottom right here, you're going to grab the elbow and arm, sit out, put them down the mat, and then grab them. Okay. Or like the past few weeks, I've been doing a lot of stuff from dojime position. Okay. Now, scissor sweep and sumigeshi sweep aren't on their list, but they're great things that I like to teach people. They're kind of my bread and butter. So that's me adding it. But then I put in little things like, okay, here's you're going to get the kimura position from here. Okay. You can get sankaku from here, which is on our list. You know, sankakus are blue belt. Kimura is a green belt. So there are things where if you're in dojime position, someone's on top of you or on bottom from you, these are things you can do from here. You're not just worried about, should I hold? Should I do what? I always try to teach moves in positions where it's actually going to happen. And that's what they always tell people also when they're in my class doing certain things, like you have to fight to where you're going to be in the actual tournament. I don't want you doing crazy things you saw on Instagram or YouTube or something, or things that you're not gonna be able to do. That's why I don't focus a whole lot on arm bars. I teach a lot of citrus colors that aren't allowed to do arm bars. I teach them, but I tell them, like, when you do the randori, Newaza randori, don't focus too much on arm bars, because some refs will understand what an arm bar sweep is, and a lot of them aren't. Okay, so don't worry about it.
I think that's a really hard thing to balance, because especially some of them are going to get a brown belt within a year or year and a half, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you don't want them to start just working on arm bars right after they get the brown belt, because they would be behind most other people who haven't trained arm bars or trained jiu-jitsu on the side. This is why I think the arm bar ban's stupid. Like, I understand. I think it was more valuable when stuff like Toby Juji Katame, like flying arm bar and throwing arm bar stuff were still legal back then. I think then, banning it below brown belt made total sense. But now that those things are illegal, there's no reason to ban arm bars for adult novices, I think.
Yeah. Well, to me, that makes that, I agree with that. Like, I think that maybe arm bars should be illegal for anyone, like under teens and stuff. You know?
I agree for kids. Like, some people are arguing, but they do. I still think, no, I don't think kids should do arm bar. But for adult novices, I think it's totally stupid.
Yeah.
Now,
like I said, like I teach it. I teach those certain positions because it's in our criteria, like we're supposed to do, and I'll let them work on it during certain parts. But when like I said, in my class, and there's other class, like you can go to Eric's class, do something, you go to Philippe's class, and I'll let you do it, no problem. But I was trying to, like, always put in their heads in my class, like, fight to the way you're going to fight in a tournament, because I don't want you guys wasting your money. Okay, and if you get too used to, and this is one of my philosophies, if you get too used to depending on doing arm bars in class, and you go to a tournament. I know judo tournaments are cheaper than other BJJ or catch or wrestling or something, like wrestling tournaments probably cheaper than us, actually. But I don't want you throwing away $60, $80 just because you forgot, oh, I can't do an arm bar. So that's why I try to put it in their head,
funny because it actually happened in front of my eyes the other day. I think it was someone from Tenry. He pulled guard and then did an arm bar, and he got disqualified for it, which is, I thought it was weird. But I think they should have just called Shido on the. But I think it was the arm. I think it was a novice division, so he did arm bar, didn't know, and
So it's like that's one thing that I kind of learned in my class because of me teaching throughout the years. Okay, because we had that funny story of I'm going to say I don't want to say his name or nothing, but that whole story where I told him that this weird tournament this year, the San Jose tournament this year, even though you're a brown belt, you're in a brown division, for some reason this year decided no arm bars. And I kept telling him the entire ride up there, don't do arm bars. Don't do arm bars. What did he do during his third match?
Imagine driving all the way up there to get disqualified for that.
Yeah. And in third match, he did an arm bar and he got shidoed and disqualified from the tournament. I'm like, shh. So he has Hansakamaki. He got kicked out of the tournament because he did arm bars. He doesn't lose the match. He got kicked out of his division.
That sounds, maybe it was different back then. It just doesn't sound right.
No, but this whole, like I said, this whole tournament was weird with not letting brown belts do arm bars. So I had to go talk to tournament director. First I tried to talk to a ref, then I tried to talk to another person. So I just went straight to tournament director.
It sounds wrong, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. But luckily they let him back in there. They're like, oh yeah, that was kind of a weird thing. Yeah, we let him back in there. He took first place. So I was happy about that. But yeah, it's like you get so used to doing certain things, you get told like, don't do it. But at the tournament, you're going on instinct, you're doing what you've worked on, you do what you do your bread and butter. And if you're doing arm bars as a yellow belt or orange belt, arm bars all the time to practice, you go to a tournament, I'm gonna do this arm bar. Guess what happens? Get disqualified. So that's one of my things I've learned throughout the years of doing judo is just like, or at least competition, fight the way you're going to fight in a tournament, use the move, get really good at the moves you're going to do at the tournaments.
So how do you decide? Because we all have to adhere to Philippe's syllabus, right?
Yes.
So how do you decide what to teach? Like, let's talk about teach that day and whether you have like a plan, like a syllabus or like a program within Philippe's program.
Yeah.
How do you decide that?
So when my second half of it, so for me, my second half class is usually going through techniques that you need to learn. Okay. And again,
I'm talking about both beginner and intermediate. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing. So I always go through Newaza stuff, like things are positions that you're going to actually find in real judo. And then when it gets to Tachiwaza, I figure out like with the white and yellow belts, it was a lot easier because it's not that much different stuff you need to learn. Okay. But now that I teach I teach intermediate, I teach a little bit of orange belt stuff. I teach green belt, blue belt, and brown belt stuff. And I usually in my head have a plan of that week, what I want to work on. And sometimes when I show up to class and I see who shows up, I'm like, yeah, none of these people can do brown belt moves. So I'm not doing that brown belt move after all. And this is the thing, I have to have a couple of ideas of what I want to work on that week. Okay. Like the other day, we had some people testing for blue belts, and one of the blue belt techniques is the makikomi, sotomakikomi. And I've been watching these people practice their sotomakikomis, and they look horrible. Well, one of them is getting taught sotomakikomi from a guy that doesn't even know how to do sotomakikomi. He asked one of our brand new brown belts it's not his fault. It's just that he's a brand new brown belt. He doesn't know sotomakikomi that well himself. So it's like blind leading the blind there. So he's like teaching the sotomakikomi. It's like, that's not sotomakikomi. That is not what you're supposed to be learning. So that's why in my class, I kind of had this idea of like, I've seen these really bad sotomakikomis. I know it's going to be rough on my shoulder, but I really, really want these guys to learn how to do this properly. And I'm going to go through the 3 versions we do in our class, and then the version that I like to do in tournaments, my tournament style one. And, the last one you showed where you start from the lapel grip, that's what I like. I don't do makikomis, but that's if I had to pick one, that's the one I would do too. Hey, stop giving me my secrets, all right? Don't tell my secrets. Shit. I won't compete. I'm not going to compete for another 2 years, most likely anyways, but who knows? Strike it from the record. Yeah. But when I see stuff that people are working in class, in the advanced class and stuff, I'll watch around what people are testing on, what people are missing in their tests, what people aren't getting. So I'll be like, okay, I know these yellow belts need to work. I know these orange belts need to work on this for their green belt. I know these green belts need to work on this for their blue belt. I know these blue belts need to work on this for their brown belt. Or just something like, okay, I got a lot of green belts in this class today. I'm gonna work on some blue belt techniques. Okay, I'm gonna work on like 2 or 3, usually probably 1 to 2 blue belt techniques that they need to learn to pass their test, and where it comes from and how they could use it. That's my thing. So I usually have an idea of what I want to teach, but sometimes it goes out the window if I don't have. So how do you said you usually have a plan? Yeah. The week of, how do you come up with that? Like, how do you decide this week I'm gonna do this and next week I'm gonna do this? It kind of doesn't like vary, but it more goes about like how I feel what people are getting or not getting. Yeah. Like what was that last month? Or was the beginning of this month? I just for some reason started to go on Morotogari, I think because I saw someone in Morotogari. Yeah, Morotogari. I think because I saw someone, I think maybe try to attempt it in class or do it in class or something. I think it was because some of our BJJ guys or BJJ on the side were talking about what to do, how to do it, and what to do from it. So my thing was like, okay, well, you guys are judo players. You have to think outside the box. Okay. What if someone gives you how to do a proper judo in a gi Morotogari, not just a wrestling, because I teach a wrestling style version and I'll teach more of a judo style version usually. And people think that if I grab the legs, that's the key to everything. Well, if I could grab the legs and do this, if I could grab the leg and do that. And I want to show them like, it is not the be all end all. Grabbing the legs is not the golden sword. It's not the golden ticket being able to grab the legs. If someone does, so we did a whole half the day on Morotogari. And then I said, okay, now someone does Morotogari to you, this is how you block it. And I taught them how to sprawl and pick somebody up. And then I taught them, once you pick somebody up, this is how you go into Uchimata, Tai, Toshi, Harai, Goshi. Okay. And I was going to teach rice bag throw, but Philippe didn't like the way it looked because who did I do? I think I did it to Will. And Will didn't know how to take it. Yeah. So he kind of landed on his head, and Philippe's like, no. There's one time you taught it and did it on me, and it was okay. Yeah. Yeah. But that's because I use that all the time in a catch. People try to shoot a power double on me. I do rice bag throw all the time to just get them off me really quick, So yeah. What was the most difficult thing, I guess, about the beginners class and the intermediate class? And also what did you notice that was different between teaching the 2 classes since you like moved? Like I said before with the beginners was that I had to make sure they had the basics done, which you do pretty well. You make sure they have the basics done for the most part, We're intermediate class. It's me now getting them prepared for Philippe's class. His intensity, if he decides to go hard one day, I want them ready for that. Okay. Yeah. When he says, okay, I want you guys to do 3-man drill, do that rolling a kurijime, and he just says, do it. They're not all deer in the headlights. That's one thing I hate. the most is that when they get this deer in the headlights of like, what's that? What's that throw? It's like, we've gone through this before. Anthony's gone through this. I've gone through this before. I'm not sure if Eric does, but I hope he does also, to get these guys ready. Cause I see how frustrated sometimes Fleet can look. It's like, you guys should know this. You guys are in my advanced class. You guys should know this already, which it is. He's the advanced class. These should be seasoned judo guys already, you know?
Yeah.
He should just say something and you do it, unless he's teaching a technique. If he says Yako Siko Geko, you should know what that means. If he says Kumikata grip fighting, you should know what that is. He shouldn't be having to explain everything he does all the time. So one of my big things that is just now getting people ready for his class, of knowing his things that he likes to do.
So what's the hardest part then about the intermediate class and the beginner's class? Like, you're talking about what the difference was just now, right? But what's the hardest thing about the beginner's class, and what's the hardest part about intermediate class?
I think when I have to go down to your class, substitute for you sometimes, is I'm not saying like dumbing it down, but bringing it back down.
Yeah.
I'll say that's hard, but I don't think there wasn't a big difference of like how hard it was to change to this, to this.
Yeah. So you didn't have like, I'm not talking about covering my class. I'm talking about when you were running the beginner's class.
No, I'm saying like
this. I'm not going to speak for Eric, but I know for Eric, one of the hardest things was he was starting to get bored.
Yeah.
Right.
See, you and me talked about this before. We don't get bored on our classes. Yeah. We have tons of ideas. There's 90 some throws to teach people, plus the Newaza stuff, all these situations. I can't teach the 90. I know. But you and me talked about it before, like we don't get bored in our classes. There's always something different in position. Like I said, I did a whole almost 3-week thing of doing things from Morotogari, from people doing like, oh, well, sensei, what can I do? And I do BJJ sensei on the side, and these guys keep doing this to me. Well, this is how you beat them. Okay. Yeah. When they do their Morotogari, you sprawl here, get an underhook, pick them back up. So that's not a problem. I was using that as an example of what someone finds hard. So I know, but I don't. So what? You don't find anything hard about teaching? No. Wow, I find that hard to believe. Like that you watch my class sometimes. I do get frustrated with people.
No, yeah, so that's a hard thing. Like, hey, like dealing with personalities is a hard thing, right? That's one thing I was going to talk about for my class is, I will say in the intermediate and advanced, you guys already have a lot of the. I don't want to call them quitters, but a lot of people just like get filtered. Certain type of people get filtered out, right?
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah. So you don't have, but I, as a beginner instructor, I have to deal with all kinds of people walking through the door. I have to deal with the one person who get into street fights a lot and wants to come learn how to street fight, basically. Right. Yeah. I have to deal with a bunch of, I'll just say BJJ people. I'll just leave it at that. I just have to deal with a bunch of BJJ people. I have to deal with people. Well, I guess
that's one thing I do like about not dealing with beginners anymore. I will say that is I love my BJJ brothers and sisters out there. Okay. I know some of you feel I hate on you guys. No, I love you guys. It's just, we're totally different sport. Okay. You guys have adapted different. You guys grew your own branches. You guys have become your own thing from us. That is perfectly fine. But you have to remember, I teach judo for judo. I do not teach judo for wrestling. So, I do not teach judo for BJJ. I do not teach judo for catch. Yeah, I
said BJJ people because I didn't want to, like, people who are in my class that train BJJ, I don't want them to feel like I'm saying they suck or whatever. There is a safety component concern in the beginners class when BJJ people walk in. I'll just say that.
Well, it's not much of this. Okay, yeah, I do understand.
For me, I'm saying it's for safety. I'm talking about
I know for you for safety.
Yeah,
for me, it's more that I really gets on my nerves is the whole like, well, in BJJ I would do this. Well, I would just do this to somebody.
That's another difficult thing, right? And
I guess but that's one beginner thing. That's from beginners to going to advanced. I was like, oh, I have to deal with these people. I don't have to deal with them no more. This is great.
So you see, I think from the beginner's point of view, most people that walk in will, even if they think that way, they'll silently think that way. And I can see that they think that way, and then I can kind of address it. But at intermediate, at that point, I don't envy you. I don't envy you because they feel like they just know enough now. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They know how it's also
is that I shut that down fast. Also, okay. As soon as someone says something like that to me, I show them the counter, and I always do a whole thing. I teach judo for judo. All right. I'm not teaching judo for BJJ. Okay. And even to this weekend when I was showing how to do wakigatame, it was like, the old school way where you can do a standing. It's a great self-defense move right here. But back in the day, if someone gets me in this, how I just roll over, go into a single, and then I go into something else. Like, this isn't the be all. Like, yes, I could do this. Yes. If I was wrestling or on the streets, yes, I could do
judo,
this. In judo, I can't. Okay. Yes, I understand you can. This stuff is for fun. But also, like, when I see that in my class, I kind of try to shut it down as fast as possible because I don't want to let that grow. Let me put it that way.
But then when you say it's not for judo, it's sport judo. Like, yeah. I think it's part of judo. So I don't think there's any problem with it. Well, that's another thing you and me, we feel about judo as a martial art, as self-defense use possible use and stuff, where the way we teach and where our dojo is, we are a sports-based dojo. Okay. Philippe thinks of judo as sports only. And that's how we teach. That's why I teach towards competition. I don't teach towards street fighting. Yeah. So do you have anything else to add about your classes?
Nah, I think it's great. I love my class. I love my guys.
Okay.
I sometimes wish my people would come more consistently so they would learn everything that I teach and they would be more prepared for their tests.
Because the one thing I would say is, if I can grant you one wish to something you can change about your class magically, or change about the people that show up to your class, what would it be? Nothing.
I wouldn't change any of them. I love them all. You wouldn't? I love all my guys.
Really? You wouldn't wish for more money or a bit more mat space or another crash pad? Or
see, I don't need all that money that you need, Anthony. Okay. I do this for the love of the game.
But it could help. It could help your students. So
help my students. If I got paid more, how's it going to help them?
Yeah.
I'm giving the same amount of attention no matter what I get paid.
For me, it's definitely mat space.
Well, you got a huge, what's the whole thing? You have a very big class because you're beginners. Technically, in my opinion, this is how I think. Our biggest classes should be our beginners classes with you. Yeah. And our advanced class, Philippe, should be our largest classes because you have all the beginners and all the newbies. The intermediate should be kind of small not small, but like in the medium size. But Philippe should have like the largest classes because they have all the brown, black, and colors.
It takes time for it to filter through. Like we say it's been 2 years, right? But there was a lot of finagling and adjustments and testing stuff around. So we're starting to see the advanced class grow, and it's just the beginning part. But personally, I think the missing component is definitely conditioning.
I do tons of conditioning in my class.
That's once a week. Or even with Eric's classes twice a week. But now now that Philippe is starting his own intermediate class, now there's 3 times a week, we're going to see more conditioning. So, yeah.
So in your class, what is one of the most difficult things you find in your class then?
It's been changing over the years. Like in the beginning, it was like, how do I keep these guys around? Because we'll talk backwards, right? So from now, the current problem we have is mat space, because we have way too many people now. It's mat space. Because of mat space, I have to adjust the drills, the games, and the exercises we do on the fly, depending on how many people show up. It's not just how many people show up, it's who shows up too. So like you said before, like some people aren't ready for certain things yet, right? So the mat space is definitely a constraint. And that's why I said if we have magic wand, I would just ask for more mat space, because it will open up so much more opportunity, and I think people will learn way faster there. One very clear example is when I do the constrained randori that I talked about. We'll talk about in a sec. One day we had 30 people in class. Like I had to divide it up into group 1, group 2, and group 3. Like the pairs. When we did randori, we cannot, especially beginners need more space than advanced people, because they have no control and a tunnel vision, like dogs.
Wild people just moving all over the place. Just hands and feet everywhere.
So mat space is definitely a problem. But now in the middle stages, I think I already solved the how to get people to stay problem, because we're talking backwards, right? So I guess like 6 months ago, it was more about how do I balance getting these people, like how they can get them to throw someone in randori with resistance as fast as possible, and balancing that with doing drills so that they don't show up to the other classes and be like, what is this drill that we're doing? Like the 3-man drill, the 3-man uchikomi, the monkey in the middle throwing, the how to rotate on the uchikomi line, the one where we face each other and then you rotate. And
which
people always, everyone, even advanced people mess up.
Still get advanced. I don't understand it. That still gets advanced people.
So so I did that yesterday, right? So I do that once in a while just so people know how to do it, but I don't do it all the time. And then balancing the newaza time with the tachiwaza time, because one thing I noticed is most beginners, unless they're really freaking strong and did other grappling art, if they compete, most of the match ends in newaza. There's like a wazari and then a newaza, or like they all fall to the floor for whatever reason during a scramble, and then it's newaza. So I'll try to teach a lot of newaza so they don't become one of those judo people we see like me who suck in newaza, So
second dan still sucks at newaza.
Yeah, I mean, I'm better than I was because of a lot of people at our dojo and how much like Eric's class does a lot of newaza. So because of that, but I don't want someone to do like they know one turnover and then that's it. They know 1 or 2 turnover and they know how to pass like a guard with one way and know how to do an arm bar. Like you know how they only know the techniques to demonstrate, but they don't know how to apply it. So I don't want them to become that.
Well, that's in my class. That's why I always demonstrate stuff from positions where it's going to happen from.
And then early on was definitely about, so it's talking about it early on now, right? It was how do I get people to stay? Because I've heard this before from other people in the past, especially online, where they say, I don't teach people how to fall, or I don't teach beginners how to fall. And they're either straight up lying or they misrepresented what they were saying, basically. Because when people tell me, ask me, are you going to teach them how to fall? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it right now. It's just not the sit on the mat and roll backwards and slap the floor that you see at traditional Kodokan. What you see at a Kodokan, actually. I've seen it all the time. Because there is a place for that, I found out. And that's for people who literally get scared when they're falling from a crouch position, when it's controlled. Like I've seen it before. So I almost never ever use that exercise anymore, because I think so far in the last year, I've only used that once on one person. And that person was so scared of falling that he ultimately quit. Because when you're that scared of falling, then I don't know what.
Well,
what
it is interesting.
do.
We will get people like that are like, I'm really scared to fall, or I don't want to be thrown. It's like, dude, that is like 70 to 80% of what we do is falling and throwing. All right. So why are you here?
And we talked about that, how we can get that, because right now the retention rate is around 55%. The dropout rate is around 55%. And I was like, I think I can drop it lower. I mentioned that, but do I want to make them dumb it down even more? I'm going to use the word dumb it down. It's not dumbing it down, but do I want to make it even more easy so that people would stay? But then when they hit the advanced class, they're almost guaranteed to drop out. I think that would not do the dojo well, and it would waste both the dojo and the instructors and the person learning's time. And if we're the type of dojo that's just happy with people showing up, doing some uchikomis, and then doing a little bit of light randori and then go home, which is what a lot of dojos in Japan were when I went to visit, then I would do that. I would make it easier and increase the retention rate, because that retains a lot more recreational people. But we are semi-competitive. Well, I won't say even semi. We're becoming a very competitive dojo. So I think people need to understand the reality that injuries is a thing, and if you train here, it's definitely certain injuries are going to happen, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be repetitive, certain things, and you have to get used to it. But I'm not going to drop them in the deep side of the ocean right away, but off the water. So I will only drop it to a certain percent. So, but I did realize how to teach break falls in an interesting way where you're not getting bored, because you hear people all the time oh, I didn't get to do randori for the first month or first 3 months. All I did for the first month was slap the mat or something like that. That is what causes people to quit, in my opinion. But majority of people, it's boredom. Unless someone thinks that someone's willing to get through that hurdle, which is not a lot of people, then I think they're going to quit. So what I ended up doing is I used BJJ sweeps. I'm going to call it BJJ sweeps because it's taught commonly in BJJ to teach break falls, because I think most people already know this, but they don't really talk about it, except for hearing it from John Danaher, even though I've been saying it before he said it. Most serious injuries happen when another person's body weight falls on another person. Mm-hmm. So if you use most BJJ sweeps, you eliminate the possibility of one person falling on top of another person. Mm-hmm. So we've all, as a kid, fell on our hands when posting our hands before, and most of us have never broken our arm that way, right? Unless you fall fast enough and hard enough. Like if you're snowboarding or like skateboarding, like where you're going at faster speed and you post your arm out, then yeah, or you fall from you jump from a high wall or something, then yeah, you're going to break your arm, you fall. But if you just trip and you post your arm out, you're not going to really break anything seriously. So that's when I got to wondering, how can I make them fall in a way that resembles actual falling, not controlled falling? Does that make sense? Like, I'm not causing myself to fall and expecting, and I know when the fall is coming and I can time my slap or whatever. So BJJ sweeps are perfect for that. And I use little games where you have to pass the guard, though I don't teach the guard passing. I just want you to stand up from the closed guard and then pass the guard. And if you pass the guard, just pin them. But I don't teach the guard pass. Well, we'll teach them is how to do the dummy sweep, the waiter sweep, the scissor sweep you're talking about is great for the side fall. And then right now I've been using the balloon sweep for like a really high intensity fall. Because it's basically half a tomoe nage if you think about it. The balloon sweep, you're basically lifting up the guy like a tomoe nage and dumping them either backwards or to the side without the body weight dropping, because you're starting from the floor. So those are really good ways of teaching falling, I think. And it's been a year so far, and it's transferred really well to the classes. I think the injury so far I've had in the class was a sprained ankle from someone landing weird when Osogari happened.
Their first day.
Yeah, first day.
This really did not look good for us.
Yeah. It was an accident though. Like, it was just nothing can be done about that. And then Erica had her torn thumb ligament because her thumb during grip fighting got caught in the gi. And then
which can happen anytime, anywhere.
We had one slight concussion because someone who's no longer with us refused to listen to my instructions. So I count that as an outlier, because when I say we do randori, I'm saying you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, and then they refuse listening, repeatedly keep doing that, then you can't stay here, So we have one small concussion caused by someone not listening to me, and then what else did we have? Some toes getting dislocated from landing weird,
and I had to relocate them.
Yeah, so those are for the last year. Those to the extent of injury. We didn't have any broken arms or people landing on their heads and stuff like that. And I have people do, I'll just call it constrained randori because I don't want to misrepresent what I'm doing. But for example, last 2 months we were working with Seoinage and Morote Seoinage. I just basically said, you can't fall on the other person. You can't do kosotogake or kosotogari, because that's another common way of injuring people, is people wrap their leg around someone else's leg, especially from the side, at the outside, and then they drag their body weight down. Yeah. And then what else? No sacrifice throws. So it's just, again, dropping body weight. And then I was just like, your goal is to give the other person a piggyback ride on your back and then throw them. Okay. And have fun. Like, so that's how I keep the randori safe. And I notice people really enjoy this because they don't have to go through the boring motions of slapping the mat, drilling the thing. Like, the last time I talked about ecological dynamics, people thought I wanted to say don't do uchikomi. That's not what I'm saying. I think uchikomi is really important to attune the attention of I'm trying to choose my words carefully. Attune the attention of people's techniques to the situation of what you want to do, right? So if like right before the game, I tell them to do certain numbers of uchikomi, then now they're like primed to do that kind of motion or entry during the game that we play, or the constrained randori. So I notice having people do these things right away gets them like excited, engaged, and fun, right? It doesn't have to be fun. Sometimes it sucks. But I've mentioned before, the training doesn't have to be fun, but it has to be stimulating. Like the mind has to be stimulated so people are actively engaged with whatever they're doing. If they're like just drilling mindlessly or just like spamming things and they're not actively trying, why didn't that work? Oh, I need to try this or that, then it's going to be a waste of time. And that's the hard part about it. It's looking at the people's movements and seeing whether they're engaged or not.
Yeah.
Because you can't always,
yeah,
you can't always like trust in what they say. Like, let's just say that. Because if someone is blindly, like continuously spamming on Sotogari, then they're not engaged. They're just trying everything. So,
well, the funniest thing is when you're doing your games and you tell them, like, I hear it because I'm usually working out during your class and stuff. I'll hear that you say like, okay, only foot sweeps, guys. We're only going to do some ashiwaza foot sweeps. You guys should know 3 foot sweeps already. We're going to do the foot sweeps. And the first thing someone does, like ippon seonagi, like that's not what we said to do.
Yeah. And
or the reverse. You say like only big throws, like only ippon seonagi, ogoshi,
that's
it. And then the first thing that goes osotogari.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Certain people, I don't want to I'm trying again to make it, I don't want to make it sound like people are dumb because they're not. What I'm trying to say is it's a lot of information. Mm-hmm. We can't see it as instructors where we know the stuff to see, oh, you just can't do this and can't do this, and can't do this. But for them, they're also processing all the stuff they learned before that class. How do I apply everything from the last 6 months into what I'm doing now? And the rules, the specific rules and the grips and the movement and who's behind me. I'm got to make sure this guy doesn't fall on top of another guy. I got to make sure I don't land on top of him. I got to make sure I don't wrap it's just a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I totally understand. And that's the hard part. Accidents happen. So you got to remind them without making them feel stupid because it was just, don't do this. Is that hard? Like, no, you can't say that. Right. And also, you have to make sure they, it's not too hard because some people clearly get frustrated about it. And then you have to scale the task down. Like if it's too many rules, then that's a problem sometimes because people can't keep the rules in their head. If it's too many options, that's also another thing, right? Because when we played the Ippon Seonage and Moroto Seonage game, I started seeing people throwing a lot. Mm-hmm. Which is a problem in my mind. Like if you're throwing all the time, it means it's too easy now. So now I need to open up more possibilities. So it's harder. So I'm like, okay, now I change the grips. So now the guy can actually post against your shoulder, prevent you from rotating into the throw. So you got to get past that grip. Mm-hmm. Plus you can do foot sweeps because the foot sweeps will weaken the post. So you can do any foot sweeps and you can do the turn throws. And now people are like getting stuck because they can't even get in now into the throw. Mm-hmm. And some people get it, some people don't get it. And you're just like, okay, so do I cater to the people that are getting it or do I cater to the people that aren't getting it? Or, so it's hard to balance that. But it's really engaging. It's good exercise. And if you go back to the Cast DeWitt and James DeLacy strength and conditioning episode, the best strength and conditioning you can do, it's actually doing judo, not.
Well, that always go back to that question people always ask us when they first start doing judo. What should I do to get in shape before I come to class? Or should I do this again in class? It's like, you want to know what you do? Just come to class. Come to class regularly. Like, it's great. And once you start getting better, you want to do some stuff outside of like jogging, weightlifting, training. Yeah. You want what's going to get you better at judo, doing judo.
The transfer of the conditioning is just great. So it's better than doing burpees and push-ups and whatever. Like you have a partner, you have the mats, you have an instructor available, just do judo, right? And you're just playing these games has really, I've noticed some people in my adults classes walked in and are overweight and they've, over the last year, they've lost a lot of weight. Like I can tell.
Really? Because I haven't noticed.
I don't think you noticed, but I've noticed. Yeah.
Is that a size 3 belt now on you?
It's mostly how loose the gi looks. It's really interesting. So it's not, because with the gi, especially now the modern gis are all baggy, it's hard to tell, but then the baggier it gets, you're just like, huh. And also sometimes when you use them to demonstrate, they feel lighter, so there's that. But I think that was the secret to how we retain so many people in our judo class. And I'm not going to say that it's a shortcut but I will say, I'm kind of bragging now, right? But I will say I got them to a very competent level, because they're not the best people, but I got them to a competent level where they can throw other resisting people who have trained just as long as they have in a shorter amount of time. Because I personally came up with a very traditional system where, again, slap the mat for like 2 months and then like all that kind of stuff. And I'm not that well coordinated as a kid and everything. And I didn't throw anyone for the first year. And I think that's not right, personally. And I can say, because they do a little bit of randori in Eric's class, and I can say most of the people from my class that had went to Eric's class have trained under 6 months and have thrown someone resisting in randori, not constrained randori, just randori. So I think that's already a win in my book. They don't have to be winning, like be the best person ever or win national champions or win whatever to show that, to me at least, that these methods work. It's that the fact that they're already ahead of other people or just as good in a more engaging way. So I think that's a win. And it also feeds in the kids class, because I'm just using the same games in the kids class, just with more simple rules, basically. Yeah. So you just need to simplify the rules so the kids can understand it. Like, for example, the hip throws, I don't even have the kids throw. I just say, get your hip in front of the other person's hip. That's the rule. Do it. And then that's going to be the game for the kids. And then again, it's more engaging, transfers well. So, the hard part about that is testing. Because I asked you the question, how do you decide what to teach that day?
Yeah.
I have a plan. Like, I periodize my training, basically. So there's usually, if there's a competitive class, you have like, okay, nationals is this date or Olympics is this date. We're going to revolve all our training throughout the year around that date. But for me, I don't. So I basically have like a rotating 4 to 5 months curriculum, because I've been traveling. It's been kind of messing with that system. But throughout that 4 months, you should have gone over all the yellow and orange belt techniques and all the concepts behind it, like hip position and weight transfer between the feet, center of gravity, like I use the techniques to teach concepts and mechanics. I don't use concepts and mechanics to teach the techniques. It's not the other way around. So they should have gone through all of that. And then within each little section of the concept, I have them play the games without the constraints. And I see whether I see the stuff I'm looking for emerge. And if it doesn't, then I toss that game or modify the game. So that's the really hard part about it. And is you spend 3 months or whatever on this one thing, and then you do randori with almost no constraints, and then they're not doing the stuff that you want to see. So whatever you've been working on the last 3 months didn't work. So you have to like change it. So that's the hard part. But that's I guess in a nutshell of how I applied ecological dynamics to my classes. And
well, I know you use your guys as like guinea pigs. You a lot of stuff to try out and stuff.
Yeah, I tell them straight up too.
That's a big part of your class. Where my class is just like, I just want to get you to know the moves, to get promoted, and to go to Philippe's class, go to advanced class, and be able to do the stuff. That's where our kind of big differences are right there. Like if I just had an intermediate class where I could just teach them how to do just to fight and do randori and stuff, I think I'll probably teach a little bit different. But since my goal, I feel like it's my responsibility, but it's also like my goal to make sure people get to Philippe's class and can participate in his class properly. It's just like that's how I schedule I treat my class the way it is, about more about learning moves and being taught positions.
Yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned it in the other episodes, but this is like a few months ago when the class started to really boom. People were like sending me messages and saying from their dojo, they're like, "Hey, like so and so, like grew up so good. He's kicking so and so's butt every day now, and he's only been training half as long as he has, and this guy's really good now. You're doing a really great job." I'm like, that person would have been good no matter who taught them. It had nothing to do. He was naturally already either had previous experience or he just like picked it up naturally. It had nothing to do with what I did. Like it could have been like anyone teaching him, and he would have, assuming they're not like terrible teachers, because it's just like today. So it was more like the below average, very unathletic, sedentary people that have become competent, or people that started much later in their lives that were like in their 40s and 50s now. Those are the people that I'm really proud of how far they've come, because I feel like I took something that was like in other dojos they would have either quit or basically be filtered out, and now they're like still training. So, and I talked about it with you in the previous episode. There's two people that we both think are going to quit, and they're still around, and we want to see if they make it to the advanced class. It'll probably be in a year. It'll probably take another year, but I still think they're going to quit. But I'll be happy if I'm wrong, basically. So if the logical,
terrible. Instructors betting on students are going to quit or not.
We didn't bet anything. We didn't bet anything, but if I was wrong, then it would really show what I'm doing really works. But I don't have that confidence in what I'm doing right now. So at least not that kind of confidence. So.
But I think you're doing a bang up job, Anthony.
Yeah, it's definitely very rewarding in a different way. Yeah.
All right. And with that, is there anything else you want to talk about today?
No, I think you're doing a great job with your class. Again, your classes are all filling up except for this last weekend for whatever reason. I think it was because it's such a nice day that all the classes were kind of empty. It was a really beautiful day on Saturday. But otherwise, I'm starting to see the intermediate class and the advanced class is starting to see more and more of those people. It's going to take longer because it's at the end, right? But the intermediate class is starting to fill up, so I feel like it's doing a good job of filling up the dojo. Hopefully, we can expand. Like that'll, I don't know how it would work in our case.
Knock down a wall.
We need to knock down. Yeah, take over the parking lot. Start laying mats down in the parking lot. I don't know, but we might have to do what we see in a lot of Japanese clubs that are small, is that we rotate. Like you have those light people, medium weight people, and heavy people, and you just rotate out. Yeah.
Now we're getting off topic again, but there was a while, like it has to be like 4 or 5 years ago now, because before the pandemic, where our advanced class, where our just regular class.
Well, that's because we have fewer classes.
Yeah. Because it was just our one class would get like 20, 25 people easily for a little while. And when we do rondori, we'd be like, okay, lightweights go do rondori. Okay, now heavyweights do rondori. Okay, now lightweights again. Like we would have to switch off every now and then, or we'd have to go in like groups of like, okay, lightweights fight here, middleweights fight here, heavyweights fight there. And we were doing that for a while, but it had to be like almost 5 years ago now because of the pandemic. Damn. Yeah. We have to get back to that.
I'm glad we're not the only one seeing success, because I was looking at Sawtelle and I was looking at some other dojos, and there's just been a resurgence of, at least locally, I can't speak for other places, but at least locally, I'm seeing a resurgence in interest for judo, which is good. And I don't want to fuck it up, basically. I don't want to fuck it up. And I hope other people don't fuck it up too, you know?
There you go again. Yeah. Losing our monetization. Damn it, Anthony.
Because a lot of people are so stuck in their ways, they won't adapt to the times, you know? I'm not going to name which dojos I think are doing that. It's not in I'll say it's not in California.
Okay, but, thank God they won't come after us. Oh, they come after us.
Yeah. There are certain dojos that are really stuck in their ways, and they're still teaching as if like people don't have phones or entertainment, or that people can work at McDonald's or something and basically support a family of 5 and buy a house, you know. Like they're teaching in like a way that's not adapting to times. And I'm not even talking about teaching in an effective way, like sports science way. I'm just talking about teaching in a way that doesn't value people's times anymore. The time that, because people are working longer hours for lower pay, and there's no health insurance in America for most people, like high healthcare costs. So a lot of people refuse to change, and they're basically letting this opportunity that I see of more people interested in judo slip by based off of their dogmatic principles and pride, I guess. But yeah.
Well, you got that whole way of like, and I joke about it sometimes in my class, where I always joke about, this is how I learned. You know, the people understand I'm joking about it.
Imagine your
people.
Yeah, imagine your whole dojo had 10 people, and then a line of 30 people sign up. 30 people show up to sign up within the last months, and they all quit because you decided to make them do like 100 burpees before as warm-ups or something. You know, like it's like shooting yourself in the foot. I'm using a very simple, vague example, but that's and they're like, that's how we did it. If it's too hard for you, then judo's too hard for you. Then keep training with that 10 people you have.
Hey, only the strong survive judo, all right? All right. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram, Tatami Talk. You have any topics, anything you want to talk about, things you have any questions on, feel free to drop us a line at tatamitalk@gmail.com. You can follow me at _Juan on Instagram. You can follow Anthony Throws on Instagram. You can follow us on Threads at Tatami Talk as well. And I think that's all the social medias we have right now, because I'm not adding anything else.
No more TikTok because it's going to get banned.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on that one. All right, that's coming from Anthony too. All right, he works for the government.
I work with the government. With the government.
With. Because Anthony do no TikTok dance. All right. All right. Till next time. Don't forget to
slap the mat. Like, sorry, no punchline again this week.